Hey friends, I'm Tamara Bennett with Southern Adornments Decor. How are you today? So there's a little bit of a story behind this design. It's called the Get Your Fat Pants Ready design. This one was created by Amy Long of Faithfully Young Creations. I think I said her business name right. If I didn't, please forgive me, Amy. But we have what is now called a designer marketplace inside of our online store at shopdoorhangers.com. And so we sell door hanger templates, we sell door hanger blanks like what you see here. It's made of 1/4-inch MDF wood and it has the design laser etched in the surface. And so we sell these in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. Now, Amy was our first person to try out our designer marketplace program. She designs her own templates. And so she submitted this design and we now sell blanks and templates for her to our audience. And she is able to make extra income off of selling her designs. And so I thought I would paint one of her designs today. So if you're interested in the designer marketplace program, I would love it if you emailed us at info@southernadornmentsdecor.com and we can give you some more information about, applying for that if you're interested. We're still working out some of the details about exactly how it all works. But if you are a door hanger template designer and you're interested, you can email us and we'll give you more information about that. Again, the email is info@southernadornmentsdecor.com. Okay, so let me preface this by saying all of the paints that I use are the Deco Art Americana acrylics. I know these can be hard to find in your local stores, so if you have to use Apple Barrel or some other brand right now while paints are hard to find, that's okay. Just find some colors that look like this. I've got this one, it's called Bright Blue. I've got Primary Red, White, Black, Light Buttermilk, and Canyon Orange. And then this is actually the dark chocolate color, and I added just a little bit of the Canyon Orange to it to lighten it up and give it more of a different tone, because the dark chocolate is a very, very dark brown, and I wanted it to be more of like a rich, this looks like dark chocolate, I wanted milk chocolate. So I added a little bit of orange to create the color that you see here. Okay, so we're gonna start by base coating the entire thing with this blue color. And we're going to paint right over our lettering. That's okay, because this design with the laser etching in it, you can still see the etching even after you paint over it. And so if you want to get one of these wood blanks in our shop, just head on over to shopdoorhangers.com. The links are going to be put in the video description, so you can find them there. This blank is 20 inches in size, and so you can go and get it and get the laser etching on it. Now, if you choose one that's not etched, just be aware it will not have these lines on it. So if you want the design laser etched in the surface, you have to choose the etched blank option. And then also you can get the printable template for just $5. Now the template is for those of you who are DIYers who want to cut your own wood blanks, and that's going to save you a ton of money. So you can get the template for just $5. You print it out on your computer. It's like a PDF. It's called a block poster. And once you print it out, you just tape it together. Then you get you some graphite paper. We have links to that on our Amazon affiliate shop. And of course, that's another one of those links that gets sent to you. And you lay the graphite paper under the template, you trace it on the wood, and then you're ready to cut. And then once you get it all cut out, you just start painting. And so it's super easy. We make it to where you don't have to freehand draw anything. You can just use our templates and get right to painting. All right, I'm going to get in between his little feet here, and then I'm going to go back. Since I'm using orange is not going to cover this blue very well, and I got crazy talking and painted right over his little feet. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. If you have problems like that and you're worried about your paint coverage, I'll show you. We'll fix it. So we're going to base coat this with blue, and then we're going to do some buffalo plaid here on this and just a little bit in a darker shade of blue. All right, let me use my hairdryer and dry this real quick so I can show you how to fix the foot. All right, so to fix this, what I'm gonna do is you can either do it with white, or you can choose a color that is really similar to the color of your wood. And so I'm gonna do that, and it will neutralize the blue. This is toffee, and you don't need this to paint the design, but if you make a boo-boo like I do, you're gonna need like a light brown that's real similar to the background color of your wood. Now, I could have just painted right over this with my orange and just hoped for the best, but this is almost easier because this just neutralizes that little problem, and it makes it to where I can just use the orange and I won't have to try to get it thicker in some spots. It'll just cover better. because the orange is not going to cover up this blue very well. And since I made a mistake, we're just fixing it. So hopefully you guys are learning something from this. You can use white, or you can use the color that's real close to the color of your wood. Now, if you were to use white, your orange is going to show up a lot brighter than if you just did it the color of the wood. So it just depends on what you're going for. If you want a really bright, sunny orange, or a brighter shade of orange, use white underneath. That goes for any time you're using orange or yellow, really. So I'm just going to do a base coat, and I'm coating the whole foot. See how I did that? Painted the whole foot, just because this color is not exactly the same color as the wood. And so by doing that, it just makes it to where I'm not going to have any spots that look lighter than others. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to let this dry a little bit longer. I'm going to use the brown, and we're going to paint this little, let me look and see for sure. Yeah, just these parts here. So I'm going to go ahead and designate those. All those areas are going to be brown. And so I'm just using a little flat tip brush. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide, and we're just going to paint his little body that color. And then after this, we will go to doing the buffalo plaid on the background. We're going to do it in like blue on blue buffalo plaid. Okay, let's get started with our buffalo plaid. I like to do this with a baby wipe. So you're going to need some frog tape. I love frog tape. My frog tape is 1.4 inches wide. Now, I want to do the thicker buffalo plaid the way Amy designed it. All right, so we're going to use this painter's tape. And y'all know me, I don't measure anything. So we're just going to lay this out and try to eyeball it. And we're going to make it a little thicker than the actual tape. So I may actually have to lay the tape side by side or something, because I want the big, thick, chunky buffalo plaid. So let's see. Maybe we'll do like 1.5 the width. So if you have 1 inch wide painter's tape, you wouldn't have to do 1.5. You could just see how I like overlapped it in the middle right here. You could just do it side by side if you have the 1 inch painter's tape. We're just going to use that to kind of measure how wide to make the buffalo plaid. So we're going to do it this way, and then we'll peel it up, and then we'll do it the other way. So I've got my blue, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of black to the blue to create a darker shade of blue. So put just a little bit in there. Let's see how dark that makes it. I might have made it a wee bit too dark, so let me add a little bit more blue. I know better than to add a squirt of black. You always add 1 drop of black at a time, because the black will overpower a color in a hurry. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now, you're going to need baby wipes. They need to be kind of fresh baby wipes, so they can't be like crusty, dried out baby wipes. Okay, get your baby wipe, wad it up, get a little bit of that blue paint, and then you're just going to start painting with the baby wipe. And you're just using that baby wipe to smear that dark blue paint. Try not to go back and forth. It actually works better if you just go one direction, because the back and forth sometimes will leave a bunch of lint behind. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to leave a little bit of lint from the baby wipe. But I don't always follow my own advice. Here I am going back and forth. I feel like I need to water this paint down a little bit too, because it's a little thick. Add a few drops of water, and then we'll keep moving. That's doing better. So yeah, adding a little bit of water to your paint can help too, to kind of make it flow a little better if you're having a hard time spreading it with the baby wipe. Okay, look, see if I got it all. Pretty close. Let's do this area here. Now it's going to be tricky not to get it all over those little turkey feet. So I'm going to just get as close as I can. And if I have to, I'll touch it up with a paintbrush later. You could also get painter's tape and tape off your turkey feet if you want to. Okay, so once you got that covered, set your baby wipe aside. And now we're just going to peel up our tape. I'm going to tape it to the side of my desk here so that I can use it again in a minute. All right, so now we're going to do the other way. Stripes look great too, don't they? So now we get to do them this way. Let's see. I'm going to use this piece of tape like right in here. That way I don't have to use another piece of tape. It's pretty well long enough for this spot. Baby wipe out, and now we're going to go the other direction. Now you do need to paint over those areas that already have paint on them, because it's going to darken that blue so that it'll be like 2 coats of blue on the areas that already have paint. If your baby wipe starts to like disintegrate, you can always get a new one. Mine is starting to do that, but I'm like, yeah, we're almost done. You'll be all right. There we go. Okay, look how pretty. Love buffalo plaid. This is blue on blue buffalo plaid. It's very fallish feeling. Oh, that reminds me. Hang on. Since we're doing this, let's just make things easier on ourselves. Let's just go ahead and blotch that blue in there close to the feet. Oh, I'm making a mess. When in doubt, dry it with a hair dye. The reason we're painting them this toffee color is because I got blue paint all over the little turkey feet while ago, and the turkey feet are supposed to be orange. Well, we know that orange is not going to cover blue very well. So to remedy that, I'm painting his little feet the color that is as close as I have paint-wise to the color of the wood. You could also use white paint, like I said before. White paint will result in a brighter color of orange. So it's just up to you if you want a bright orange or not. I kind of wanted my oranges to be all the same. And so unless I'm willing to paint white underneath every section of orange, then my oranges won't look the same. That's pretty good. So now we can paint those little dudes orange after I dry them. So now we're just painting his little feet with canyon orange, and it's covering great because we have that toffee color underneath. And that orange complements this blue so well. Looks great together. And I'm just using a teeny tiny flat tip brush. This brush is not really ideal for this, but I already had it out, and so I decided to use it. But I'm getting lots of brush strokes, so I'm going to have to do another coat. All right, I'm just going to do a quick second coat on my orange. It's already drying so fast. That's the other thing. If you're doing multiple coat, it works best if you wait until your paint is dry or almost dry at least. Because if the paint is still wet and you're trying to put a second coat on it, sometimes it doesn't have anything to stick to. So then the paint just gets pushed around and then you don't get even coverage, and that's frustrating. All right, I'm just painting this whole eyeball white, even though only part of it's actually going to stay white. It's just easier to do that than to try to paint around certain areas. And I'm going ahead and giving it a quick second coat. It's drying so fast on this MDF. All right, this primary red is so pretty. I'm using this to paint the his little, what do you call that? His gobbler? I don't know if that's the right word. I got a little bit of blue on top of my red, but my red's covering pretty good as long as I'm doing a couple of coats on it. So we're going to just keep going with it. But this is the primary red I'm using to paint his little feathers. You could also do these little feathers in different colors if you wanted a bunch of color on him. I'm just doing them red because that was how Amy designed the template, and I wanted to follow the mock-up, so to speak, and do it exactly as she designed it. And sometimes it's just kind of fun to not have to sit and think up how, I got my arm all in the orange paint, look at that. Not have to try to sit and think of what colors to do things, to just be able to just do it, just paint it. And I got the orange all over the place down here. Okay, we're just painting his little eyes. I'm trying to go around that little circle. I could just paint it white again, but we'll try to go around it. I'm not doing a very good job at staying outside the line, so I may just have to paint some white in there to fix that. Tricky sometimes going around these little tiny areas and trying to stay inside the lines. I'm a messy painter, so I would almost rather paint in layers than try to paint around something. His little eyes are so cute. Oh, so cute. Let me make them just a little bit bigger. There we go. I like that better. All right. I need to touch up this little area here too. I missed that. I got over the line with my blue and got blue all over his little brown body right there. It's okay. I love that buffalo plaid, don't you? All right. Let me look at my picture real quick. Make sure I didn't miss any of the details I wanted to do. And I think it's ready to start adding finishing touches. Okay. So let me dry this. Okay. In the design, Amy had put like a little light blue border around the outer edge. So I'm going to take this blue color again. It's called True Blue by Deco Art. I added just a couple drops of this light buttermilk color. I think it needs a little bit more though. I was testing it to see how light it is. A little bit of light buttermilk. You could also use white, but I just used buttermilk. and I'm just creating a lighter shade of that blue, and I'm going to do a little border around the outside of this circle. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to use a brush this is actually a filbert tip brush. You could also use a flat, but there is actually on this etched blank a line on this outer edge that kind of shows you where to put that. So I'm just going to lay it right on top of that and just drag my brush. Now I'm able to go further with my paint because I'm using a filbert tip brush, and filbert tips have a tendency to hold more paint in them, so you can get a longer stroke. Let me rotate this a little bit too. I want to make it a little wider. Kind of tricky though to get a steady hand, so I'm actually keeping my wrist straight and my hand still, and I'm pulling with my whole arm. Next, we got to do the lettering. Let's see. I think I'm going to get a round tip brush for this, and I'm going to use this light buttermilk color. Now, the lettering is already laser etched on the door hanger, so all I have to do is paint inside the lines. I don't have to freehand any of this. It has always been hard for me when there's a door hanger design with lots of lettering on it, when it's got like a phrase instead of just a word or two words, you know, when it's got a whole phrase like "get your fat pants ready." It's been harder for me to do the lettering freehand, because then you have to get everything aligned right, and you have to worry about spacing and all of that. And notice how the upstrokes are actually thinner than the downstrokes. So I'm using a round tip brush. This one is I don't know what size it is. It's not marked, but it's probably like a 4. And then I'm flattening that brush out to get a thicker stroke on the way down. And then I'm using a really light touch to get that thin upstroke. Sometimes I just have to do 2 coats, because even with this, I'm applying it rather thick, but you can still kind of see through the paint to see the blue just a little bit in some of the skinnier or the thicker spots. So I'm trying to apply the paint a little thicker, and I'm just trying to do 2 coats. And so we go back over this E right here where it's a downstroke. On the downstroke areas is where it mainly just needs another coat. And so I'm just doing another swipe to get good coverage. So normally if it was chunky lettering where it didn't have thin strokes, I would use probably a filbert tip brush. But because this one had different size strokes, thin and thick, I'm using a round tip brush. That's because I can control how thick the stroke is by using different pressures, like how much pressure with my hand. So for these thinner strokes like this, I'm using very, very light pressure. And then for thicker strokes like this right here, I can flatten my brush out and then pull it up. And that just takes practice to be able to do that and not get out of control with the paint. So, and sometimes I even still make a mess with it, but that's okay. And don't feel like you have to go in a certain direction with the paint. If this was a O, I would, if this was something I was hand lettering, with a pen, I would do like this and swipe up on that O. Well, with paint, I can go the opposite direction, whichever way I have most of the control. And so I don't have to go the direction that I would normally write with hand lettering. Now see, this one right here is wide enough that I'm going to cap it off here at the top and then go down again. And then I just smooth the paint out. You could also use paint pens for this. I don't have a paint pen in this color, which actually there are some pens that I talked about in a previous Friday Fab 5 video that are refillable paint pens. So if you needed a paint pen in this color, you could use those refillable paint pens to fill it with this light buttermilk color. Add just a little bit of water and then shake it real good, and then you would have a paint pen in the exact color that you needed it. I'm just doing this quick little second coat because with light colored lettering on a dark background, sometimes you will have areas that didn't cover as good. And so we're just doing that quick second coat to get better coverage. That looks better. It's not perfect, but it's better. Okay, now I'm going to take this color, what is this? Antique gold, and add just a touch of kind of a mustardy yellow gold on top of my lettering. And so I've still got this paint on my brush. I may actually mix a little bit of this. I don't want it to be intense. I want it to be very subtle. So I'm going to pick up some of that light buttermilk color and mix it with that antique gold. And we're kind of making a color that's in between. It's a creamy mustard. Now I'm just gonna take my round tip brush and do a skinny downstroke on each of the letters. And this just adds a fun highlight to the letters. I'll show you guys up close in a minute because I know that's kind of hard to see. Actually, if you water that paint down a little bit too, I added a little bit of water to it. It was dirty water, but dirty paint water. It'll go on a little better too. And I try to have like a really light touch when I do this. I don't want it to be like super intense, but I'm only doing it on the areas that have a downstroke. And I'm not even going all down the entire length of the letter. Okay, so let me show you up close. See that? It just adds a little bit more of like that fall yellow color. Let's do some fun accents and detail lines with our paint pens. I'm gonna get out a white and a black paint pen, and this is the 3M size. You're gonna use this to do some accent lines on your turkey. Just add some cute little lines like that. Do them on this area too, on top of his head, maybe around his belly. You could even do some on his feet, and then maybe had a fun little wiggle like that. I like that. There was also another cute little dot like in the eyes, which I actually need to make those eyes a wee bit rounder. Mine are a little bit wobbly circles in the middle there. So I'll touch that up with my paint pen. There we go. And then let's see, she had some fun little wiggly lines going down like this, down the sides of the feathers, like that. All these little things add like just a little bit of fun detail to the door hangers. And all these little busy lines distract from any little imperfections, and it makes it look like you put like a ton of work into it, which I mean we did put a lot of work into this one. All right, let's switch to black, and now we're just going to go with our black and outline all of the major details. So I'll start with the feet, outline those. This just cleans things up. So again, if you're a messy painter or you have hands that kind of shake a little bit, adding these little lines afterwards can really help with that. And I'm pretty much just tracing right over where those etched lines are and where the template lines would have been. Okay, so now we're just gonna add a cute little detail line around the outside edge, and we'll do some cute little dots. So dot, dot, dot. And then we'll do like a line. And then one final detail was Amy had added a cute black drop shadow to each of her letters. And so I want to do that too. We're going to do it with a paint pen. We're going to use this 5M size paint pen, and we're just going to go on the right and lower side of each of our letters. So start out right here. Still a little bit wet. Try to take your time when you're doing drop shadows because it can be easy to accidentally put them in a bunch of places they don't belong. Anywhere where the letters get too close together, I'm not continuing that drop shadow, by the way. I'm only doing it around those areas. So like this area here, the letters got awfully close together. So I did not continue the drop shadow there. Okay, I think I pretty much got it all. Let me show you up close how much better this looks with the drop shadow. See those letters, how they kind of just pop now? The drop shadowing really helps. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me paint this one. If you want to grab the template or the etched blank to this one, you can get it at shopdoorhangers.com. It was designed by Amy Young. She's one of the new designers in our designer marketplace in our shop. If you are a door hanger painter and you want to design your own templates, you can apply to be a designer in our designer marketplace. Send an email to info@southernadornmentsdecor.com and we'll send you some information about it. And you can find out more at southernadornmentsdecor.com. We've got a blog and we've got all kinds of awesome things about door hangers. So if you want to learn more, hop on over there. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.